I have asked a question to ChatGPT and Gemini, but both give me different answers, the same question. Is it a normal thing? Let's find out.
Why do ChatGPT and Gemini give different answers? Have you ever asked ChatGPT a question, copied the exact same question, opened Gemini, pressed paste, and then got a completely different answer? Not just different words. Sometimes a completely different explanation. Sometimes a different solution. Sometimes they even disagree with each other. So now you're stuck. One AI says yes, the other stuck's now. One sounds incredibly confident. The other sounds just as confident. They can't both be right, can they? So, which one do you trust? Most people think, you know the answer. ChatGPT is smarter. No, Gemini is smarter. Stimmt par. They're answering the same question. You same language. And computers that's thousands of miles apart. It's on. They ain't think alike. Why? Do one then learn something the other? Is one secretly high information? Or is there something much bigger happening behind the scenes? Because once you understand why this happens, you'll stop asking, which AI is better? And you'll start asking a much smarter question. Let's find out. The experiment. Imagine placing two of the smartest students in the world into separate rooms. You ask both of them exactly the same question. Not a trick question, just a normal question. What causes rain? The first student explains quaz, temperature, and water vapor. The second student explains evaporation, air pressure, and condensation. Neither copied the other. Neither used the same words. Yet both answered correctly. Now imagine asking them something much harder. What will technology look like in 50 years? Suddenly, their answers become completely different. One imagines flying cars. The other imagines robots. Neither can actually know the future. So they build their answers differently. That's surprisingly close to what happens inside AI. Most people imagine AI like a giant digital library. They think, when you ask a question, the AI walks into that library, finds the correct page, reads it, and gives you the answer. That would make sense. But that's not what's happening. Not even close. In fact, this misunderstanding is the reason so many people get confused when two AIs disagree. Because ChatGPT and Gemini aren't searching through books every time you ask something. They're doing something far more interesting. The world fastest guessing the sting. The matching you're texting the best friend. You type, I forgot my, before you even finish. Your phone suggests, keys, maybe, wallet, or phone. How did it know? It didn't read your mind. It simply looked at millions of conversations and noticed patterns. People often write, I forgot my keys, or I forgot my phone. So it predicts what probably comes next. Now imagine doing that. Not for one word, but for an entire paragraph. Not even millions of messages, but learning from an enormous amount of text across books, articles, websites, conversations, and more. That's much closer to what modern AI does. Every sentence it creates is built one small prediction at a time, word after word after word, which leads to an interesting question. If both ChatGPT and Gemini are predicting words, shouldn't they predict exactly the same words? Actually, no. And that's where the mystery gets much deeper. Imagine two world-class chefs. Imagine giving two famous chefs the exact same ingredients: flour, eggs, butter, sugar, chocolate. Then you ask both of them, make the best dessert you can. Will they bake the same cake? Probably not. Will make they brownies. The other might bake chocolate lava cake. Your chef is wrong. They simply make different decisions. Because each chef learned different techniques. Different teachers. They've practiced different recipes. AI models are surprisingly similar. They may learn from enormous amounts of information, but they don't learn in exactly the same way. Each company decides how to train its model, what to emphasize, how cautious it should be, how creative it should be, and even how it should communicate with people. That means the same question can naturally produce different answers. But here's something even stranger. Sometimes, the same AI changes its own answer. Wait, the same AI? Imagine asking ChatGPT today, what's the best way to learn Spanish? Tomorrow, you ask almost the same question. Maybe you change just one word. Now the explanation is slightly different. Sometimes, even the order of the advice changes. Why? Did the AI suddenly forget? No. Think about asking two teachers, how do I become better at basketball? One day, They might say, practice shooting. Another day, they might begin with, improve fit with pieces of nice or useful. They simply chose different starting points. AI works similarly. There isn't always one perfect sentence waiting to be discovered. There are many good ways to explain the same idea. That's why different answers don't automatically mean one answer is wrong. But sometimes, one answer actually is wrong. And that's where things become much more important. When different becomes dangerous. Imagine asking both AIs, who invented this machine? One gives the correct inventor. The other confidently names someone else. Now this isn't just a different explanations. One answer is something incorrect. So what happened? Did the AI lie? Not exactly. Modern AI doesn't wake up in the morning thinking, I'm going to fool someone today. Something else is happening. Something much more surprising. Because unlike humans, AI has no moment where it stops and thinks, wait, am I actually sure about this? It doesn't experience doubt the way people do. You probably do it every day. Someone asks, what was the capital of Australia? You might reply, I think it's Canberra, but I'm not completely sure. Notice those words. I think. Maybe. I'm not sure. Humans naturally signal uncertainty. AI usually doesn't. And that's one of the biggest reasons people trust it more than they should. Because confidence and correctness are not the same thing. A calm voice, perfect grammar, and a detailed explanation can still be completely wrong.